I put some extra effort into the bedroom and my wife ended up in hospital. I need to begin with a little background into my wife's health. She has a myriad of different issues, the biggest being schizoaffective disorder, a defective kidney which causes cyclical vomiting which puts her in hospital a lot, tics and tremors. She manages day to day and has a good support network. I look after her to the best of my ability and always try to remain calm in a situation on the bad days. We've been together since we met in college nearly 16 years ago and she is my best friend and one hell of a good wife. Enough of the wench, onto the tale. It's half term currently and I'm on a week's holiday from work, spending it at home generally chilling out. The kid has been around a lot, not being able to hang out with his friends what with the vid and everything, and as a result my wife and I haven't had a lot of alone time. My father-in-law offered to take the kid out for the day, socially distant activities, and granddad is in our bubble so we were okay with it. And we thought awesome, day to ourselves. We had some breakfast, took the doggo on a nice walk, well, nice until it started pissing it down, and spent the day playing Xbox and chatting. Utter bliss. Now in the morning, I noticed my wife had put on some SI black lacy underwear. Gotta admit I was thinking about it all day. After lunch, I asked if she would like to join me in the boudoir for a little afternoon delight as we had the place to ourselves. My neighbor who lives in the flat below ours was out at work. We have thin walls and creaky floorboards so we usually have to try and be quiet when it's SI time. So we thought this time we could really let rip. We like a lot of foreplay and we're having a good old time. My wife looks SCer than ever and I am as excited as a very exciting thing and am very worked up. I'd been thinking about her all day and I knew I was going to blow after a single thrust. I didn't want this to be over in a flash as we haven't had a lot of opportunities to really go at it in a while, as I thought I'd go in once and the vinegar strokes hit. I'm usually a one and done guy. I'm not as young as I used to be, but damn it I was gonna give my wife the banging of a lifetime. I pull out, look my wife in the eye, grab my little sailor and splodge right on her belly before grabbing her ankles and jamming him back in before the wind drops out the sails and never breaking eye contact. She's surprised, I'm surprised, we're having the time of our lives. I spin her over and stand next to the bed with her on her knees on the bed, grab her hair and give it my all. Words are spoken that would make an 80-year-old hooker blush. I'm close to a heart attack, and that's when it happens. She has a seizure. At first I just thought she was spent. She sort of went limp and flopped the side. I'm stood there proud as punch thinking I'd finally satisfied her like never before, quietly dreading that she'd expect this again when I knew this was my magnum opus, my perfect performance never to be repeated. When I noticed her arms and legs are twitching, my heart-on dropped away immediately and I rushed into caregiver mode. Many a night I've been woken up due to an emergency hospital visit, but I've never seen this. Her skin had turned red and she was sweating profusely. Her breathing was shallow and uneven and by looking at her eyes she was clearly not there, not rolled back but diluted and staring off at nothing. I get her away from the edge of the bed so she doesn't fall off and try to get her to wake up. After what must have been only a minute but felt like an hour she begins to stop twitching and regains consciousness. After coming to she slowly moves into a more comfortable position but says she can't move her neck and feels sick. I get her comfy and fetch a Bucostum for the nausea. We decided the best course of action is to call 111, a non-emergency line in the UK. They went through the usual questions with us listing off her long line of medical conditions. And they asked what happened. I described the suspected seizure, not the events leading up to it. And they confirmed it did indeed sound like a seizure so we should get up to A&E. They could send a paramedic but it could be 2 to 4 hours until one is free. Nay bothers, we'll call my brother-in-law who is a nurse and is not far away. We get dressed, load up all her meds for the doc to check over in case a combination of her pills was the cause. And bro-in-law arrives, checks her over, and drives us to A&E. Thankfully he also didn't ask us what we were doing before the seizure or that would have been one awkward as F journey. He drops us at the door and drives off to pick his wife up from work but says he'll be free in a couple of hours if we need picking up later. At the door to A&E, they have a healthcare assistant to screen people for COVID-19. He asks us a few questions and we describe the seizure. Then he asks the question we were dreading, what were you doing before the seizure? I try and fail to contain a giggle. My wife says doing what couples do when they have an empty house for the first time in weeks. There is a beat or two. The fella looks at me and I know he is smiling behind that mask and he says, ever so cheekily, did you crush her? Now it is important to note my wife is 5'0" and I am a 6' Adonis of the armchair, big scruffy beard, and big cuddly tummy. I found this remark hilarious. My wife looked at the floor but I knew she had the biggest grin on her face. I looked him dead in the eye and replied nah, I was behind her. We all had a good laugh. A moment was shared then we moved on. The care guy tells my wife to take a seat. Big man here can book her in, and then we'll have to leave. Understandable due to the restrictions. Don't want people in the hospital who don't need to be there. So I took her in and sat and head outside to call a taxi and get home before granddad drops the boy off. Bollocks, I've left my wallet at home and I'm left with no choice but to walk home in the pouring rain which takes me nearly an hour at a brisk pace. My wife is home after 4 hours in A&E with instructions to keep an eye on her and to make an appointment at the seizure clinic. Bit wobbly but she is doing okay, cackling away on the phone like a harpy to her sister as she tells her the story of how she ended up in hospital. Update, so after the wild events of my last post my wife was sent home with some meds. At the time they were concerned by the amount of CT scans my wife had had and didn't want to run another. If only they had done one it would have saved us weeks of pain and stress. For 4 weeks since the seizure, she had several severe migraine attacks, twice waking up screaming and vomiting with the pain and back in A&E twice. Both times they got the pain and the sickness under control and the same doctor sent her home both times with meds after refusing to do any more tests. The anxiety was unbearable, We were both in a constant state of alert waiting for the next attack. During this period she felt well enough to have us time once. We took it slow, but when she started to approach the station to Pleasure Town she went red and had a glazed look on her face, and I instantly thought I've done it again and went limp halfway through my payoff. It was just her enjoying herself, but the panic set in with me as I have been a nervous wreck since the first seizure, in a state of alert just waiting for the next one. 2 Sundays ago the wife gets out of bed and heads to the bathroom, ready to make us a nice spot of brekkie and let me have a lie in. As soon as she parks on the porcelain she screams in pain. I spring out of bed ready to take action and I find her on the bathroom floor, kecks round her ankles, red and sweating and recreating a certain alleyway scene from Team America. I clean her up, get her comfy on the sofa with a bucket and some ondansetron, and we call 111 cause this looks bad. They tell us a doctor will call us back soon. For 5 hours we wait, she is in pain and the anti-sickness is doing nothing. When the doc does call she says she is prescribing some more pain meds and doesn't go to A&E. I made a judgment that she is in no state to stay home and has to go to the hospital. She looks like she is going to die and needs urgent medical attention. Father-in-law happens to swing by to see how she is doing and immediately says I'm taking her to the hospital after taking one look at her. Wife gets to A&E and after an hour's wait the same doctor from before sees her and says in an annoyed tone, "What are you doing back here? You've had 38 admittances." She told me she felt like he was accusing her of being some junkie looking for meds. She tells him something is seriously wrong and he dismisses her with a wave of his hand, "Just take your pills and go home." I'm furious when she calls me and tells me this. I tell her to get a second opinion and thank whatever deity you pray to that she did, as the next doctor takes her seriously and was very annoyed at the first guy for his attitude. She can obviously see that my wife is in pain and orders her a CT scan. Velp. The scan revealed a brain bleed. It is recommended that she is urgently transferred to King's Hospital in London at 3 a.m. where further scans on Monday morning reveal an aneurysm and she is immediately taken into surgery. The wonderful doctor treating her explained the procedure over the phone to me, where they go in through a vein near the groin and insert bundles of platinum fibers in the aneurysm to stop it from filling up again. He explained that this was most likely caused by her hypermobility, which has made her veins stretchy and thus created the bubble. As he is explaining this to me I am holding back tears, both from worry for my wife and elation that we finally have an answer. To cut this short, surgery went well and after a week of bed rest in the hospital where I can't see her due to COVID restrictions and having to work while looking after the boy, who has been a little trooper but I can tell it was getting to him, and El Dago, she finally came home last night. She will have headaches for the next couple of months and has to take meds that stop her veins from spasming every 4 hours, which means waking up at 3 a.m. every night for 2 weeks to get a highly sedated lady to take a pill. Needless to say, a strongly worded letter of official complaint is being written about the original doctor who refused to take her seriously. Sorry this post isn't as entertaining as my first one, but I am just burnt out after the past week of worry and tears, but I am beyond grateful for the amazing staff at King's for quite probably saving my wife's life. She could have had a burst aneurysm at any time and she'd be gone. Doesn't bear thinking about. She's happy to be home. I'm happy she's home. Dog pissed the carpet with excitement when she came home last night.